I'd like to call the meeting of the Board of Leavenworth County Commission to invite everyone to stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to start with silence, please. Roll call. Start with Commissioner Culberson.
Here. Here.
I'm Commissioner Shimke, and Commissioners are present today. I'd like to open up the public comment portion of our meeting. The public wishing to speak, please come forward and state your name.
My name is Frank Gilbert.
One
What I want to you people is taxes. Something new.
we know about taxes.
Just pass that around. I was going to go and questions, calculate a couple other things, but I'm not going to waste time. If you go back and I just simple searches. I think they said 60 to date. Our taxes have gone up 4%. That's in the second document there. It says local wishes property taxes record level. That one, the next one, current U.S. rates 2019, and it's got a graph bottom to show you what they are. And the last page shows the tax paid you people and the each year. And you go down the last years there, or the last 3 years, it went 4% increase, then a 9% increase, then a 9% increase. My understanding is it's going to go up again. Now, if you take a look at that chart here in 20, shows you the 20 to 2019. The interest rate is only 2.1%, but yet where you're at, and nobody can say, "Well, I've worked in the government for 30 years, and I've heard history is we've started new programs that weren't funded. We need equipment. We need this. We need that to make a living." I know it's a tragic thing, but nobody can do anything. You people have to do something.
Share this with your local district too?
No, but I intend to.
I encourage you.
Well, and like I said, you go to Tonganoxie, and they got their own over there. I understand you're not a problem, but this problem here would be you pick some here, you pick some there, and that's the only way to correct it. Because over the years, it's been, well, yeah, let's just levy a little bit here of the problem. That's what it's done. Every year it's gone up. I want to admit it takes a lot of money to run a road. I'm not trying to get out of that. I mean, I enjoy driving down plowed roads, deserts, and the next guy. But when it comes to the point, payment is more than the tax, the house payment. Something is, and something has to be done. So,
and this last years we lowered the mill levy, and last year flat. But you had 0.3 average on your in the county. That was the average. But
so even though the mill levy stayed flat,
you had
we had to tax it.
Absolutely correct.
Well, some said, and we had this to work because you got to go to Topeka. Go to Topeka. Topeka sits up there and says, "Set the mill levy. You need commissioners." So you wind up back here. Now the board's saying, "Well, it's flat. Nothing we can do about it." Somebody's got to have the authority to do it.
No, we have to.
Well, there you go.
You know, what he said about the school district is important because on average, like our amount of $1 of the mill levy, we might be cents of the county, but your school district represents about 40 cents.
That's right. And every time around Tonganoxie, $300,000 I get ball field that now they're not even going to use to build a whole new arena.
And you need to take the school district, but the other thing is, and the municipalities, we fall underneath the state of Kansas imposed a tax lid, so we're not supposed to increase very many of our spending CPI. Your school district is not under that. So you really, I mean, you're talking to good. I know that, you know, by the valuations going, the amount of revenue coming, 1.8 this year, however much it comes here.
About 2.
Yeah, we should, I believe, the mill levy to make some of that. But even if you're not going to feel that like you would your school district or local governments to lower it as well. And I believe that we will make changes this year.
All right.
Thank you for having this, and I encourage you to come with during our budget.
Though, good point. I'm trying to say to make a good point. The point, Doug, is, did your value on your property stay the same the last 4 years?
No.
Because us mill levy and keeping the mill levy the same, you wouldn't have seen an increase in your tax. Your appraised value stayed the same. This is a good point, but I've never seen it as vigilant about saving tax money. Last year, did 6 or 8 that should help lower the mill levy. So we're working very hard on exactly what you're talking about here. But I think a lot needs to be looked into as what you're talking about at appraised value. So
Well, I mean,
if your appraised value would have stayed the same.
They send you pictures and tell you to go drive county, and you can't argue with what they're saying.
But do you understand? If your appraised value would have stayed exactly the same the last 3 years, taxes would not have went up. Actually, would have went down if we lowered them twice.
That's right, but cannot housing. And, you know, housing went up 10%. The actual inflation rate was 2%. And you're saying is, well, if housing wouldn't have went up, taxes wouldn't have went up. You can't base the tax base on that. You've got to take a overall picture of how is it calculated and why. Because fuel, some things went up, some went down. And and through that formula, it all says this is what it is, 2.1%.
Have any control over what your rate does. We have control over the mill levy.
Right.
We lowered the mill levy.
And what I'm trying to say is, if you would take a look at the budget, across the county budget and said, Joe County Shop, he spent $100,000 last year, he gets a 2.1 increase. So whatever that is, over here, she gets a 1% increase. You took all that together, it should not have been a 1% increase on my tax.
Okay.
It should have been a 2.1. It should have been up inflation is.
I will say one other thing is, what you said at the very beginning, I've done this for 8 months. I can tell you the demands on this body for service, for money, and for you would be.
And I'm not trying to take anything away from Commissioner, because, you know, if you're doing damned if you don't. That's the position you're in, and I'm just saying I've had enough. I think I'm the only one. There's people out there that are saying the same. My house payments, I mean, is taxes down. And like I said, when I started building, I didn't have it to do it. I did it myself. Was sweating my own off the ladder. Probably spend time in hell for cussing. I did it. Now I'm seeing it being taken away in these golden years. savings account bill comes out and, you know, it keeps sooner or later it's going to be out. And then what?
What was your last name? Gilbert? What was your address?
1889 Eisenhower.
All right, thank you. I appreciate you, Ken.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Any
Frank.
public wishing to speak at this?
Good morning, Commissioner. My
Morning.
name's Sarah Williams, 27251 6th Street.
Good morning.
I'm frustrated. I'm here and not home with kid, but I'm to learn where we are in the process with the Lenape. All information exchanges between or involving Call Valley and Leavenworth County are underground. Citizens hear nothing. Crickets. Horror continue to be hassle-filled or denied outright. Yet we know Call County have been very busy for a few months. Suggest to me now, my fellow citizens and I can continue to learn the most information about exactly where you have planned for us with regard to Corey. That planning and zoning kept a thick, messy folder, brimming with sand ordinance that the public could easily access and stand to wade through it. When that became cumbersome, staff decided to keep digital instead. Yet why can't we them any longer? What has changed so drastically in the procedures? Why secrets? I am angry that Caw Valley's preliminary study by Cook Global, dated November 5th, is riddled with inaccuracies. Daily shoulder measurements, that Leavenworth will fund all improved grades, that Caw Valley will be responsible for improving 3 interventions along and critical information altogether. Photos and elevation changes from to Loring on 105th Street. The third and fifth documents submitted to Flat Strobel, which begs the question, why does this continue to allow submissions from Cook Flat Strobel? How many strikes until right? They will never get it. Heavy industry cannot safely exist here no matter what traffic studies are done. Caw Valley is dangerous for this rural neighborhood. I feel embarrassed and uncomfortable that you are allowed degrees and a background complicit from engineering to check Caw Valley's and point out inconsistencies. It's safe or that I don a fluorescent and personally measure that dangerous way to prove to this commission the shoulder 2 feet paved. Flat Strobel would have you. I am angry that Caw Valley is being required to submit an entirely new application. The old one they continue to operate from 8 months ago has been too many times taken seriously and ought to be declared null and void. Caw Valley must be held to block operating standards, procedures, project level. We've everything from 20 years in duration, 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. work days, or even round the clock during times, 80 trucks per day, or is it 160? And in the end, will we for the community owner? Continue forging ahead with this document is unfair and will allow Caw roughshod over this community for the rest of our life. Do you care? Comprehensive plan? Not. You spent $300 of taxpayer money to have this information. Now that you hold it, do you provide a valuable guidelines, or do you minor role as you form your decisions of the future of this county, or do you consider it at all? Because participated in this endeavor, voice is loud and clear. Above all else, we rural atmosphere. We believe you are led by the comprehensive plan, and sand mining is not rural. I am angry that planning and zoning would dare changing sand I-3 zone from special use to allowed 14 before Christmas, and with only an interim director at its helm. Since that meeting, I've heard many neighboring counties, not one simply of any kind, with all neighboring counties require conditional permitting operations with reviews of permits once issued. I get the intentions of one out-of-state who inherited her land may harm thousands of owners who work hard for theirs. Folks who live here. Far away desire to becomes our nightmare, causing our land and home values to plummet. Did you know within a third of a mine declines 30%? half mile of a mine declines in value 20%, a half mile of a mine declines in value 15%, and within 5 miles of a mine declines by 5. Where do we stand? Figure it out. How do we get information? How do we get along with planning and zoning? How?
I have a question. The traffic study that was submitted, initial application for Fall Valley, would you consider the initial traffic inadequate?
I think that was determined by the board of commissioners already to be inadequate. We required a new study be completed. That study has been completed. It's been reviewed by staff and by an associate who we contract to provide engineering services and review for the county.
And the traffic study, so the traffic study, but some of them have not been called studies. We had one study that was called
Pavement
exploration. It was a review of traffic studies. So we're actually at this point on the third traffic, is that correct? But because one of those was actually just a review.
I think off the top of my head, yeah. I think 3 is accurate. There may be a 4th one that was because of change. I would have to go back and look at that. I mean, that's.
And currently, just to make it clear, where are we between traffic now, or are we going back and forth in scope, or where are we at?
We received a traffic. Also, it had concerns. Sent that back to be addressed.
And that's what we're waiting on that.
So to your question is probably better in council is if a study is completed and then it's within staff to review, and granted that's a matter experts in it, it's not by this board is where that review is occurring. And then we have concerns or feedback or suggestions relative to that report. And we use a very outside party engineering firm to take the level of expertise substantially. And to your point, there's even been changes on the team, probably some of your concerns. But at what point in time, relative to us being completed, staff reviewing it, submitting a third-party firm, then submitting it to staff, you know, at what point is that to your request an open record where it has to be produced?
Absolutely. They had been in the past. We've seen the correspondence. We've seen submissions. We've seen Olson's response. And now, all of a sudden, even though we're discussing these documents in this room, we're denied. The correspondence was denied yesterday.
Chairman, members of the Commission, over the last several months, I've received numerous open records requests. We've granted all of them. All studies that have been, it is final, the analysis, even some of the preliminary. The core that I issued a denial on yesterday was internal email notes, internal correspondence, matters that are subject to this Open Records Act. They're the primary work, not a product presented to you. If you wish, I can emails between you and staff, aside from other cumbersome, make it difficult to act discussions on leads to the ability to pick, isolate out that are being developed and try to miscast them as final. When a final traffic study is completed, it will be presented to this board. It will be a public record.
At the time of the vote, I drive that route almost. I can tell you that Strobel's study is incorrect. And maybe, sorry, I should back up. Maybe someone could tell me how you measure a 2-foot shoulder. Are you measuring? Tell me. I know.
I know that Olson has, according to stuff I've been told, has been the scope for the traffic that we will use in this decision. Olson is this very professional organization that are outside and have no bias in this, and provided the scope, so that will be the information that and on to make the decision.
There are many inaccuracies, but the 2-foot sample doesn't exist on this. It's not a 2-foot shoulder everywhere. Persons where the drops off into the white line on the outer edge.
We don't have this.
Yeah,
so we can't.
I'm just asking. I've seen a preliminary study, and I know
said
that's
you've seen a
inaccurate.
preliminary. We're waiting on a final.
Okay, well.
Final. I'm not.
Okay, going to planning and zoning then. How do we documents that we used to have access to a folder this thick? It got too cumbersome, so now digitally we that information.
So as the actually become finalized, you are making them available.
The study that you refer to, Commissioner, has been provided.
Okay. If there's a issue with the size of the shoulder with, then I don't know how you address with that with you, or how would they address that?
I appreciate that you give me for being in here. That's really outside my bed, unless you would wish me to.
Well, I mean, how would these folks? Who would they?
Those concerns via email, letters. Obviously, Ms. Williams knows where the house is and should be up here expressing her concern. The whole purpose of open express those concerns. If something frustrates you, act upon it. A letter.
To whom?
To the Board of County. You can send it to the Public Works Office of Planning and Zoning. It will be circulated.
I will let in all of my correspondences with this board and that I've heard twice to initiate. We've had correspondence beyond initial email, but I've heard back two times.
Well, I think you've met of the board, though, correct?
No, didn't respond. Anyway, I don't have an answer about where it went in planning and zoning. Now, if their documents are kept digital, how can I access them?
Do we have a folder?
You do have a folder. I believe the document that you're speaking, and nothing in that folder. She is correct that at this point there's not every single piece of documentation in there. It is digitally. There is traffic study since November. Staff is with Olson. We have sent that to Valley for additional content. They have responded to us. The process that we're in. It's not federal traffic pavement analysis. It's the same study analysis that we're working through to come to a final.
I got a couple quick thoughts, one of which any would fall in public record, whether we have digitally or not, then we need to have a link or a file accessible on our website. So I think that's something to talk to the department and figure out again. As long as it is a document that would be added to that folder, that would be public record, I'm sure we get opportunity providing better access. Seen or have concerns about to the accuracies. I think those need to be did, and I would say you can to this board will make sure that it goes to planning and public works and public ultimately goes to Olson's. Our staff and firm that we pay can go in and buy your concern one way or and I agree with you. You shouldn't have to be a fluorescent vest tape measure. So
I really, but the are so glaring that I feel it's completely.
I just wanted to address that.
At what point the I don't know if you want to call it scope or the of application becomes so changed from submission that it would need to return back to the planning commission to be submitted as an entirely new.
I think some of that will be discretion of the Board of County. Right now, it's tabled. It's not an agenda item. It's tabled. It's been tabled for a while we go through some of the concerns. Once it's ready or sufficiently ready, there'll be a request to this board to table and set a date certain, require public notification. At that, the board can make a decision if they believe it's changed enough. And obviously, you have legal counsel who can help you with that decision at that time. But until you final report or your consideration, I think it's hard to if it's changed or not. Well, be that the board decides it's changed enough, it back, or you may believe information and it hasn't changed and make a determination on the date that you. I would tell you probably from the you decide to put an agenda is probably a 60 time frame because of the requirement for new public
time to act on documents, and maybe my fear is that Carl Valley is going to say we're ready for the agenda, and the public is stymied by information.
Well, application he's talking about, that'd be plenty of time.
60 days.
Plenty of time.
Right now we don't have information. What we expect.
Well, I'd say they're finished with everything, all like he said, when they're all.
It's final.
Right.
And the announcement is made. Be available in 60 days.
Right. So you'll have plenty.
Mr. Chairman, if it would be the preference of the board, we will see. I have an email address, several emails. The question of your staff was when this matter was brought off the table, set for a date certain for that new notice would take place, things would take place to the persons to be notified, new postings would take place, and that would probably, along with your additional time, roughly 60 days from the date you take it off the table. Period of time you have been provided a package of documents as you normally receive. You could make an open record, and it could be made available to requesting it. And Commissioner Shimke, you have an excellent point. It can be put on to a county website to where somebody could access it digitally without having to go to a record request.
And I think you do bring up a great point as how much variance to an application does it take before it would need to be resubmitted. And I think that's to our outside consultant. In my mind, if over the majority range, so that's like 3% is what range, that would be a no-brainer versus if 2 out of 22 bullets to information that's been realized that a traffic safety and roads and concerns, and that may be a bullet of 22 get a very big one. I think the question is how much of that origination has to be altered as a percentage before, and if a policy or rule that's look at. I think that's a really good question that I don't have an answer. Most feedback that we, whether it's been via email or via public response, zoning has been primarily of roads, safety, all of you mentioned. And while that's a major element of the application, there are dozens and dozens of elements of the application that I don't think have seen major, but I could be.
Well, actually, and it brings a question. Can we take work sessions? Could we ask for a work session in Carl Valley? Is that a good approach?
Well, our work session in the public, there are certain things that don't qualify for, that we're not allowed to use work session on. I'd let staff discuss what that.
And just at a certain point, we have to be fair to the applicant, and that's what we're trying to be fair. And certainly, you know about the roads and these things. But I think if we had a work session, and I'd have to ask council, if we had a work session where community were fine, that could interfere with objectivity.
There's really no, I think that we would receive work session. It's just and discussion.
It might be a good opportunity for out all the wings in their claims. As the application stands now, I fear that they're pretty much anything they want. They've talked about round-the-clock operations, for example, but they've also said their day would be, they've given a start time and a finish time. Well, which is it?
We got to move on. This is not on the agenda today.
Well, I came a long way to talk, so I appreciate
and
hearing me.
And the buzzer went off about 20 minutes ago.
But please submit those concerns, though, so we can get them into the, because again, having that come in a work session with us, I'm not the subject matter expert on that item that could answer it, so that'd be another waste of your time. I'd rather get the experts to answer it.
Thank you.
But as staff said, once everything's final, there will be a 60-day public hearing notice.
Great.
So,
And that'll give you plenty of time for you guys to be heard.
Approximately 60 days.
Could be.
it could be more.
Depends on where our agenda meetings fall and how long the letter draft.
Commissioner,
It could be.
Within 7 days.
Is it like a 45? We're just saying, let's just figure.
Right.
Commissioners, I would use the approximately 60 days to estimate your schedule because you control your agenda. And I would suggest also that we are going to undertake new publication and the notices. Some element has to be moved in there. Additionally, I would presume that there would be time where you would wish to review the information being provided.
Well, absolutely. Okay. Anyone else?
One more thing. I would encourage people from that area that have concerns and outline those to us, because I think it's very clear you gained a lot of information today, and I think that
Okay. From the public wishing.
Yes. I'm just not quite ready to let it go. I'm Nancy Carpenter, 681 Crider Road, Springs. I'd like to talk about the CORA thing a little bit. On November 25th, I submitted a CORA request for any documents related to the traffic study that I was underway. On December 4th, the county chose to send me 3 documents prepared by engineering firms with the remark that they, quote, necessarily final documents, are preliminary and are subject to change or revision. A 4th document was sent on January 3rd. I reviewed these documents. I assumed you all had too, but it sounds like you. I found numerous inaccuracies, inconsistencies, unacceptable assumptions, particularly as to what the county would do to accommodate the applicants. With this in mind, I sent a request on January 10th, asking for documents, letters, emails, and other communication between County Planning and Zoning, Leavenworth County Public Works, Olson, Fall Valley, regarding the contents of those documents. I was confident in particular that your consulting firm, Olson, would have a critique of it. I had previous times. I have a September 4th and one from October 3rd that related to the Cook Flat Strobel traffic study of October 26th and a September 24th meeting. I was taken aback when I received an email from Mr. Van Pers stating that the materials I requested from the court. My sheet to call a long family friend who happens to be an accomplished lawyer who is well versed in municipal law. I was assured that if the county had original documents to Olson, which it sounds like it did, and Olson responded to the county with its critique, which it sounds like it did, that critique would be considered discoverable and that would be available to the public. I want to believe that open, transparent government is a goal of this county, yet this incident has left me wondering. I think Sarah has already talked about our concerns with the original application being so vague with words like estimated, anticipated, approximately, so I can bypass that. I would totally love to see a work session where we had the opportunity to actually sit and talk. We start to get the feeling that Kaw Valley is being accommodated and accommodated and accommodated, and the citizens get 5 minutes at a shot, 3 minutes at Planning Commission. We were cut off, not everyone was allowed to speak. So the citizens are starting to feel like we're the second rate and the applicant is what really matters. Finally, I have just a general question on procedure and policy. I wonder how much, in your estimation, does a resolution carry weight in this county? The board regularly signs resolutions. You're going to sign one for Puppuccino's today. And I'm wondering, does it carry any weight? Is it enforceable? If not, why are you bothering with resolutions? If it is important, I ask you to consider Resolution 2009-50. Shouldn't the citizens living on a road that falls under the umbrella of Resolution 2009-50 live in confidence that the Board of County Commissioners won't allow their road to be turned into a dedicated commercial truck route? Why should that resolution be any different than the myriad of resolutions that you sign every year? I'd be glad to chat with you, or I'll just go sit down if you prefer.
I would too, because I'm telling you, it's an oversaturation of signs. If the sheriff cannot write a ticket on a county resolution about the commercial trucks.
You know the definition of a truck route?
I do, and you have shared that with me, Mr. Cullerton. I thank you for that. But right now there is a piece of property for sale that in its front yard has a sign.
But you're saying that this property would break that resolution for the truck traffic sign?
They are on the proposed truck route.
I'm just trying to understand what you're saying. You're saying that we wouldn't be following a resolution.
I don't think you would, because I think that, yes, there are exceptions that talk about if the business is on the road and if the business is to and from. I understand that, but 128 plus trucks a day?
That's in the resolution.
Really?
The resolution for a truck route means that if the product is made outside the county and shipped to somewhere else outside the county, then that particular road, if it has a designated truck route sign on it, can't be used to transport that. But if the product is made on that road or is delivered to a place on that road, then the resolution covers that. You're saying we're breaking the resolution?
I guess I question the spirit of the resolution.
Okay.
I guess that's what I would be.
I just have one more question. You haven't got any open records requests?
I have gotten a lot. I kind of classified as the Cora Queen in this effort, and I have a lot of the Cora requests. It is the one that I presented on January 10th that was rejected.
How many have you got, you think? Just roughly.
Oh, I've started alphabetizing them, haven't I? I think I'm to M, wherever that is in the alphabet.
Okay. Because it make it sound like we're not giving you anything.
No, this very specific instance, and it shocked me because I have not been, this kind of information has not been withheld before, which sends up red flags in the public. What is it that we're not to be able to see?
So you've gotten 4 or 5 other open requests.
I have 2 notebooks yay thick, full of documents.
So hundreds of open requests?
Now, wherever M is in the alphabet, I have to count out is how many 15. I've formally sent.
Okay. So over a dozen.
I have a lot of documents, yes.
All right.
But this very specific one that is about what is happening right now, we are not able to be privy to. And that's very frustrating.
But I will say on this commercial route issue, because I know that you're technically right, but what people that live out in that area, when they see those signs posted, the perception is to them.
I know.
The perception is that their area is for local traffic only, and they're not anticipating 100 and some trucks a day being added to out in front of their house.
Which I think we need to take those signs down.
I understand the perception, but sometimes these signs are posted in order to establish liability. You know, and the resolution was passed to establish liability for other reasons where things can be enforced even if it's not, if it will become a civil lawsuit or something, even if we don't write tickets. So there are sometimes reasons for these resolutions beyond that, but I understand 100% what you're saying because I've heard from dozens of residents about this issue of their roads, the trucks, here you have chip and seal roads. You're going to put 105 trucks out there a day. You're going to destroy our roads. And I'd say if there's any issue that's important to people down in that area, it's the roads.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else from the public wishing to speak at this time? Then we'll close public comment and move on to administrative business. Mr. Lawfrey.
I have 2 items under administrative business today. The first one is the NACO Legislative Conference. I sent an email. Actually, they sent an email in December, and I had forwarded it, but with the holidays and everything, I wanted to get it on an agenda. NACO is sponsoring a conference in Washington, D.C., where they will be discussing specifically communities that have military installations. 2 commissioners did express an interest in attending. It would require the board to authorize them to go so that they could use county funds for the trip. So that's why it's on the agenda today.
Okay. All right. I'll entertain a motion to authorize 2 commissioners.
If the 2 people who
So moved.
if the 2 people who want to go would maybe wanted to say that they're still interested, because that's been a couple of weeks ago.
I would be very interested in going.
And that's the other part of who wants to go.
You guys are going?
I think Commissioner Cos had responded and Commissioner Shimke had responded.
I don't care. I just wanted to make sure that we would have somebody that was
Right,
represented there.
right.
So, I mean, I've already been, so I'd be more than happy to see Commissioner Shimke and Commissioner Culbertson be able to represent the
Is
commission.
that your motion?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on Commissioner Shimke and Commissioner Culbertson attending the NACO conference? Voting?
Aye.
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 Thank you guys for going to
So
that.
I do have some travel, to answer your earlier question.
Yeah.
Okay.
We just added some.
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't want to do it.
No, it's been a few weeks ago. I just got to look at the dates.
Okay.
The other item for the administrative business, the Board of County Commissioners had requested or had authorized a mailing to the folks along corridor, the county run corridor, and preparing a frequently asked question. Because it will be coming out from the county, I wanted the board to have a chance to review these FAQs and put your blessing on them before we send them.
I really don't have any questions. Is this, you're going to send this out? We're going to mail this to everyone along County Road 1?
It'd be the same folks that got the notification for the rezoning. It's
Right.
1,000 feet.
Yeah, everybody that's got property that is in the land use study. Commissioners have any questions? We sending this out as soon as we approve this?
It'll take us a few days to get
Oh,
it, put
yeah.
it together, but yeah.
Okay.
It may get it by the end of this week or the first part of next week.
Okay.
And with
Is
direction.
there any other document like how to respond to this or anything? Just
Commissioners, David and Paris, if I might, first of all, my copy doesn't have the contact in there, but Ms. Voff has generously volunteered
Right.
to be the
Ours
point
does.
of contact. So there is an invitation to send information into the county,
Okay.
and it invites in from
Okay.
comment.
Any other questions,
No.
commissioners?
Would it
Thank you for getting it put together.
make sense to get it online as well? And I realize we're going to.
Yeah,
Right.
it'll be online, and it actually already is in the packet, which is electronic, but we'll put a specific link
Right.
for this.
It's actually already on Facebook.
I know.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think when the board authorized this, they also, Commissioner Stephen had requested that he be able to include a document in there as well, so I just wanted to make sure that you understood that too. That was approved by the
We're
board.
going to have a meeting at the annex, if they wish to attend.
That's in.
It's just an invitation?
The 30, an invitation.
Okay. Is the annex going to be big enough?
Generally, I had 80 people there once.
Well, I know, but what's the fire marshal say about that?
Wow.
When
I
they
don't
gotta
think,
practice
I
what it
mean,
brings it, yeah.
typically you don't have that many, I mean, if we had to move it, I could have an alternative place if there was that many that show up.
Okay.
I don't expect there to be. But
All right. Nobody RSVP, so you really don't have any idea how many's going to show up.
at the last meeting about County Road 1, probably 40.
If it's informational, we could probably figure out a way of streaming it to the public so that people that couldn't attend could view it.
Oh, I think it gets streamed anyway. Somebody's
Right,
always there
well,
on Facebook.
but find somebody that's willing to live
Yeah.
stream it so that people are aware that if they cannot make it to that informational meeting, that they can watch it, you know, and gather the information there.
I mean, the attempt here is, we had some criticism that we hadn't been totally open, and we've done,
And I think we have.
how many mailers have we done? 3?
and there's been 2 public meetings. And anyway, this is another attempt to have another chance for anybody that wants to have their voice heard.
I'm trying to figure out,
You know.
what did people do before we had our meetings live if we're accused of not being transparent?
This is our attempt to be transparent, folks.
Well, the meetings are live. Everybody
Yeah.
can watch our meetings. There's no secret meetings going on. But,
And I think, you know,
And
to
work
the point of
sessions
a
are
couple
open to
people that
both.
spoke, I think the goal of many of us up here is to be as transparent as possible.
absolutely. That's why I wanted to have the meetings live.
And we
Make your own decision on what happened at the meeting. Don't take it off of somebody else's Facebook.
And when people hear us here having conversations, these are in our work sessions, which are also open to the public. This is the only time you're going to hear us discussing any of these issues. You know, as a body, we do, and never have I yet to see 3 of us sit down and talk about anything.
If you
I mean,
do, you
and that's
have
by
to-
law.
If
And
you
I'm
have
saying-
to- if you do, you have to report
Right,
that
we
to
have
the
to report it to the
Attorney General.
Attorney General, even by accident.
And David gets really upset.
And our county councilor will
Yeah,
not
he will
stand
not
for
allow
that, debates or secret meetings or any kind of cross communication, because we don't want to go to jail and we don't want to be fined. I mean, the bottom line is that we don't do it.
I just wanted to thank staff for putting this together. I think this is great.
Yeah, it's
I think
great.
this is the at least 2nd or 3rd time since I've been on the board that we're actually being proactive, taking the
Absolutely.
initiative and sending things out. And I think that's steps in the right direction. Can it improve? Always. We'll continue to take feedback so that it can. But I think this is a heck of a step in the right direction. So well done.
Okay. All right. I'll entertain a motion to allow staff to mail out the frequently asked questions on County Road 1 corridor land use plan.
So
And
moved.
also authorize Commissioner Stevens to put in the information,
On the annex meeting.
on his meeting, and he'll have on that.
So moved.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on the letter being sent out? Seeing none, voting?
Aye.
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 All right.
Thanks again, Crystal.
All right. Any more administrative business time, Mark?
Nope, that was it.
Okay. Has all the commissioners had a chance to look at the Mark 2050 project list? There's 2 bridges that are in our area that made it, so.
Would this be a good time to ask for a letter from the chairman to?
Yes,
to
I'd
the
like that.
Board?
Yes. Mid-American Regional Council would like a letter from the chairman on the appointees that we have for the committees, and I'd just like to get an authorization to allow it.
And they already did the other 2, just
we-
for me.
Right, we've approved a few weeks ago the appointments for most of the committees.
Yeah, they just need one for me now.
Okay.
With a
They already
start
have the
date.
one for me to replace you on the,
They wouldn't need one for workforce.
they
Just
don't,
Mark
just
needs
one,
yeah.
okay.
And a start date.
So that was also voted on for you to swap. We voted on that, so we can fill
Okay,
that
so you don't
form
need
out.
a
The one
motion
that-
to authorize me to send a letter, sign, okay.
Because we have it in the minutes.
Okay.
The one that we need, though, was the 911 committee,
Mhm.
and that Commissioner Culbertson had expressed interest in that.
Were you going to be able to serve on that?
Mm-hmm.
So we need a motion
We'd need a motion
to allow Commissioner
to-
Culbertson to serve on Mid-America
He
Regional
would be-
Council's 911 committee.
He would be he'd be the primary.
Okay. Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Voting?
Aye.
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 And Commissioner Shempke had, it's before the holidays, when we made the appointments for all the other departments, and I think you guys concerned whether the department heads was going to have time to attend all these meetings. Did we have a little discussion on that?
I mean, that was, yeah.
So I didn't know how the department heads felt about that, or do you want to appoint somebody as a backup also if you folks are too busy, or do you already do that?
We go to a lot of meetings.
I know you go. That's what Mark stands for, meeting around the clock.
I will say on a personal level, commissioners, from planning or from a public works perspective, I don't really have anybody on my staff at the moment that would be
Boy, that backfired on me, didn't it?
It's the unfortunate scenario.
Point taken.
Yes, so we are each labeled as each other's alternates in these.
Okay.
But in engineering, unfortunately, at the moment is just
I know,
me,
that's
so-
why I brought it up. I know how busy you are. I
Right.
know how you're,
Right.
the
So yeah, I would love to have an
short-staffed
alternate
you are.
that's not another department head, but unfortunately, at the moment, in our staff abilities, I don't have anybody aside from another department.
Well, I just don't want you guys to get bogged down.
Just
on
let us
meetings.
know if it
Just
becomes
let
an
us
issue.
know if you need somebody else to go.
Do they provide any methods to join, like virtually, or? Right. That's the state.
No. Sort of.
Well,
Regional planning, Russian.
yeah,
That's all
I had one of
the Kansas City
them.
metro areas.
which is
Right.
2.5 million of the 3.2.
It's a lot of us, yeah. They split Kansas, Missouri.
Well,
Yeah.
just let us know if you get overwhelmed with meetings.
Thank
It's
you.
easily done. Okay, anything else on administrative business? We'll move on to the consent agenda. Any questions or concerns on the consent agenda? I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the consent agenda?
Have a motion and a second on the consent agenda. Any further discussion? Voting?
Aye.
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 All right, now we are ready for Crystal.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. This is a request to approve Resolution 2020-6. This is for Puppuccinos. We discussed this in depth last week. Ms. Dela Cruz is here. I believe she does have one item on item number 7 that she wanted to clarify. But other than that, I believe this resolution is
Okay, go ahead.
Instead of wooden privacy fencing, could we be allowed vinyl? Main issue is wood, no matter how you seal it, is porous, and
Absolutely.
dogs pee and they cover and cover, and over time it will smell and not be sanitary. So our vinyl turfing that we have down uses an antimicrobial wash, and I could just literally spray the fencing with that.
Absolutely.
So.
But you're still talking about solid wood.
Yes,
Solid vinyl.
yep, it would be solid. It wouldn't be able
It's
to
just
see
vinyl
through.
instead of wood.
Yep, just a different product.
Yeah.
More expensive.
It is more expensive, yes, but it's more sanitary, which is the only thing that matters. in
More
terms of
expensive up front, less expensive over time.
That's where you go. That's true.
The safety
cost
of the
of
dogs is primary, so.
No, makes sense.
Yeah, that would be allowed, that would be good with us.
That's item number 6, not 7.
Number 7.
6, wooden privacy fence on ours.
Oh, goodness. Would y'all sneak in on me?
I want to make sure we're looking at the same thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's our
Seven's a tree.
It
And
is.
I have a pasture full of a whole bunch of free cedar trees if you want to come and get them.
We'll be up.
I just want to make sure that we're looking,
Yeah.
you know, that
Right.
we're
Number
On the same
6,
page.
commissioners should reference and begin a wooden privacy fence.
right. That's number 6.
Number 7 should begin and reference evergreen trees.
Right,
Right, so it
Yeah,
sounds like we're all on the same
and
page.
and that's
Hers
not
is
what
good.
she has.
This is what Crystal printed for us, yes, or on Monday.
I'm just making sure we're all. This is what we are
Yeah.
approving.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I was instructed to use the word wooden, which I did.
You skipped it.
If I could offer a suggestion, just strike the word and allow the applicant to
Put a
determine
fence.
Privacy.
Privacy.
if she wishes to use rock,
Just
wrought
say
iron,
privacy.
Hey.
whatever
Just say
substance
privacy
she feels
fence.
is appropriate.
Was that what it was? We just missed.
Yeah,
that
there
number?
was a number that got skipped
Got it.
somehow.
Okay.
Sorry, it is the
Traffic
exact
impact
same
fees
thing,
happen.
just
Okay.
the,
So technically ours has the same 15 years does, we were just missing the number.
correct, yep.
Got it.
Yes.
Okay,
That's the only thing you had issue with.
so we're going to strike wooden and just approve
fence.
that says privacy
privacy
fence.
fence.
Correct. And I think the only additional was the evergreen trees on the one side of the
of the fence that, where our driveway is, there's only about a foot between our driveway and the fence. I don't really think that it would allow for evergreens there, but if I circumvent the rest, is that, I don't want to dig out my driveway.
And that was just to help cut down on noise. So.
Correct, yeah. So that's fine. But I think we're happy.
Entertain a motion.
Make a motion. We approve case number. Resolution number 2020-6, issuing special use permit for Puppuccino's Doggy Daycare, subject to conditions with one change to condition 6, striking the word wooden.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Voting?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Mark, remind me, are we still 5 for the initial and then 10 on renewals? I thought we increased even the initial. No, the initial's still 5.
Yes. Unless it's a significant investment.
Okay.
You can't ask people to put in a couple $100,000 investment.
Well, you can.
Well,
it's not fair to do.
I'm not going to do it.
No, I agree.
We want people to invest money.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Lauren, how are you
Morning,
today?
Commissioners.
Morning.
So I am here this morning, again, with a few different RBAs. The first one, I believe, on your agenda is additional expenses for the 178th Street roadway design. We've talked about this road several different times.
Yeah, about a year.
It's been a little while, unfortunately, yes. This was the last of the PRP roadways. It had been designed by Napier, and through the dust abatements, we have kind of cornered it into an asphalt area, and so we originally wanted to request that the design get updated to asphalt, and through that and additional comments that Olson had made, we have received a request from Napier for a contract addendum not to exceed $6,250 to update the design.
And will this road go to bid this year? I mean, we've talked about this forever. It was supposed to be a chip seal road.
We have.
And now we changed to asphalt, and nothing's happened in a year.
I have not gotten updates from the utilities on the location or relocation of this.
Well, those utilities was supposed to be out of the way last year.
That was my understanding, but they have not been fact-checked by any means or taken a look at. And potentially some of these issues that we have requested Napier to update could create issues. I do not want to say wholeheartedly that the new updated design will not require additional relocations. So I don't want to say here in this board that this will most definitely go to bid. I will absolutely work towards that.
We can't
and
do
we'll
utilities twice on the same job. I mean, I don't know why it would require more.
Well, I'm just curious. So we know that going from the different road surface and application type, we're going deeper into the road, in which case if they're in the initial chip and seal, we weren't disturbing the roadway. Now with this new application, we are disturbing the road.
This was a full design.
Yes, this is a full design road, so there was still going to be, there's always grading, there's going to be a face manipulation as well as a pavement. The comments provided by Olson could potentially change the design. Not significantly, hopefully, but I don't want to say wholeheartedly that it will not come into conflict. They felt that there were updates to the design that needed to be made and that the design as we had it was not adequate. And so
this still was an engineered road.
Correct.
The change is to the road surface type.
That's it.
So
that was the initial stemming of us re-looking at the design, yes.
Right, I'm just trying to figure out why the scope change is so substantial from the engineering company.
That's not the only change.
Oh, it's not.
Right. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying.
They identified a couple of other issues
Correct.
with the design that needed to be addressed.
Olson did.
Yes.
Yeah. And the Napier agreed.
Yeah, so Napier has agreed to make those changes at the cost shown here.
So,
But the original design was made based on requests from planning and zoning at the time.
Public Works.
Public Works, rather.
Yes.
At the time, and then that was prior to Olson being involved in and looking at and.
Correct.
Okay, it's kind of reminded me of like the Eisenhower discussion we've had many times where Olson came in and made a change that substantially saved us money, but it was a revision of the work that Wilson had done. So,
correct.
Right. I guess my question is whether internally or externally through Olson, we find issues or improvements or something that needs to be made. When we go back to the engineering firm, why is that on us to cover the difference? If there was some type of error or mistake that they made versus we drastically changed the scope of the project.
We have had those conversations with Napier, and this was where we landed. He requests 4 updates for the plan, this amount. And there was...
So what if we didn't do asphalt, we just stuck with the original plan, done chip and seal?
Then we would have moved forward with the plans as they were, because they had been previously accepted by previous administration. And we potentially could have run into construction problems. We potentially couldn't have. I know for a fact, if you look at the contract addendum that was provided to you, there is a revision to a storm crossing that he is subcontracting with a structural engineer that he had not previously done due to an issue that Olson had identified.
So I'm going to ask a question with not the intention of getting an answer, just more for us to brainstorm as a group.
Right.
Is if we're paying an outside consultant to drastically increase our capabilities and expertise, and we're finding issues or improvements or ways to do things better, I have no doubt that's still saving us money over time. I'm just trying to figure out, we're paying a third party to help us spend more with our previously identified contractors because we know we've now figured out how to do it better. I'm just like, somewhere, it can't all be at our expense.
This project, as Commissioner Smith referred to, over a year in the making, so had been completed before Olson came on. The only reason they reviewed it was because of the asphalt change.
Okay.
That didn't mean that the problem didn't exist. It just meant that it hadn't been caught previously, and the project had been accepted by previous staff. So the RCB extension one is a pretty significant issue that was identified by Olson when they reviewed it, and the problem is we've already paid for the original study. The change, if this would have been early on, like if they would have submitted these plans to us and Olson would have reviewed it before we accepted it 7 or 8 months ago, then fully would have expected that it would have been on the design engineer at that time to fix it.
And not a change order.
And not a change order.
Okay.
The design engineer now is saying, you've already accepted this plan. It's been on your shelf for 4 or 5 months, and now you're coming back to me and want me to change it. That's going to cost some extra. That's where the request came from.
Okay.
Well, how do you explain that to the people that live on 178 that gave their right of way and have been on the list for 3 years now?
I have spoken.
Your road is never going to get done. We're just going to keep designing it, redesigning it, and we are saving money because we're not doing the road. So we just keep designing and redesigning and changing the scope of the job. I mean, we got to get this road done. And I mean, so what's the time frame that we could look at?
As I said, it has not been scratched from our project list by any means. I certainly do absolutely intend to install this roadway. I have spoken with many of the residents. I unfortunately cannot promise that it will be this year.
On this road. I don't know how these people are going to.
I would like to believe that it will be this year. We will end up going out to bid a while from now still. I know there have been concerns about bidding timeframes, but if that is the direction that the board would like to go once these plans are complete and I have verified that the utilities are in fact still out of the way, that is an option when that time comes. But I unfortunately, until I have finalized plans, I don't want to say a committed date that ends up a situation where we ended up in McIntyre and 147th, where utilities are not out of the way, and we have mobilized a construction
I don't want to
firm.
end up like a situation, we ended up on 182nd Street where it was 11 years.
We obviously can't control the utilities, and while there's still a committee that's underway, and we plan on having lots of discussions relative to utilities, how we deal with them, and how I hope to see that change in the future, what we can control is our aspect, right? And so I don't know how long it will take. So if we approve this revision and the redesign is completed, I don't know if they've given us a schedule on that. I'm assuming they have. If they haven't, I'd like to start making that also a requirement. Is that if I'm getting ready to spend more money with you, I'd like to know exactly when I should receive this product by.
How about we just say, we need this done by April so we can put it out for bid?
Well, I don't think it's going to take that long to spend $6,000 with most engineering firms that I know.
No, I don't believe it's going to take very long.
Right. It's probably like a few days.
Just say we want this project out for bid in the spring. Like I said.
But if we get it back, my question is,
so we want this project.
Absolutely, and I would love to commit that will happen.
No, my question is, since we can't control the utility aspect,
Right.
if there are no utilities in the way because it was completed correctly the first time, and there's no other surprise like all of our other roadways in regards to utilities, it's likely we could complete the road this year if the utilities are not the issue.
Yes, if that is the way that the board would like to move forward, that is something that we could.
I say it needs to have a deadline, just like our 120 days on getting all the phone lines out of the way on our.
Well, I think we just need a policy that we give you 4 months to move them, and if you don't, we're cutting them. So.
I don't know why they can't work off of a deadline. A lot of companies do.
Well, I understand, but if
Them
they don't.
folks out there building a quick trip look like they're working on a deadline. They
Okay,
work
what's the
Saturdays.
consequence if they don't meet the deadline? I mean, it's kind of like then you're starting from scratch or from the get-go. So then you shot yourself in the foot. So it's kind of like we
Well,
need
if you
to
ask
just.
the utility company to move the utilities twice on the same project, you done shot yourself in the
I think
foot.
we need to respectfully request for Mr. Napier to please make this a priority to get this back to the Public Works Department so that
It can be bid
this
by
can be
April.
moved forward, looking at the potential for a date in April to have this go out for bid. I mean, but
Clearly, it's our goal and priority to try to get this done this year.
Right.
The only reason it wouldn't is if there's something outside of our control.
Right, and if it's
That's all we're
outside of our
saying.
control, we
And
can't.
it is the last PRP road. The PRP program previously was if you dedicated right-of-way or donated right-of-way, you got your road done for free. So this, there's no, these folks haven't paid for something that they're waiting to have happen. We've committed to doing the project. There's no additional cost to them. If they would have paid for it and they were sitting on their money, I totally understand frustration, but these things happen. And we're getting the road done at least as soon as we possibly can. That's all I can say.
I do have one question for you that's not really directly related, but the utility placement policy, are you working with Olson on that, or where are we at on that?
That is something that I'm working with Olson on. As you all know, the list of tasks in my office is long. The list of things that myself and Olson are both working on is long. It is still underway, but I
Do you have
can't.
an anticipated date?
I do not.
And we do have a policy in place currently.
Yes,
It's just
we have a
want to
policy.
update that policy.
That does.
We want one that sucks less.
Well, and a lot of the problems we ran into, like the phone lines, those things have been there for 60 plus years.
Right.
So
They're pre-existing.
Wild West, right?
They are not installing those in
Their
the
own
middle of our
policy,
roadways as we speak.
Right. Their own policy internally now is 3 feet off the back of the right
Outside
of
the
way.
back of the right of way.
So they try to get as far out of our roadway as possible because they don't want to pay to move it either.
Well, it's difficult to deal with utilities.
Yeah.
So, anyways, well,
you.
that's where I stand on 178. So if nobody's
You're
clear,
nobody's
I
saying.
can explain some more.
Just realize, Lauren, most of that was
Are you
geared
sure
towards the
you're not
utility
talking
company,
with
not you.
Yeah. So, any questions on that? I'll entertain a motion. Napier?
Motion to approve contract addendum with Napier for additional expenses for the completion of 178th Street roadway design in the amount of $6,250.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Voting?
Aye.
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 All right.
Okay.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you, Lauren.
What else we got?
I believe next on the agenda, we have the contract for the 2020 biennial bridge inspections. We put out an RFP for these, and they were opened on December 10th at 10:30 in the county clerk's office. We met for a committee review of these proposals on January 2nd, and the committee selected Benish at the amount of $85,900 to perform the bridge inspections, to include the infrared inspection of the decking.
Commissioners have any questions on the?
I know you were going to contact a couple of the other.
The one
Yes.
other
Yeah.
firm. Yeah.
Had a
What-
conversation.
They've been included in their proposal. So when we reviewed it, there were 4 proposals were received. 2 of them, it appeared, well, one of them appeared like they just sent us a canned response without considering what we actually requested. Another one, we weren't quite sure, and we just clarified with them, and they had not included everything that we had requested in the proposal. That left 2 firms that were responsive. So we just wanted to clarify, because the one proposal was significantly less money, and if they had taken everything into consideration, that was going to be our recommendation as a committee. However, they did not take everything into consideration. They didn't review the scope, even though they had the opportunity to meet with staff and review what we're currently getting. They did not take that opportunity. So
It was like half the price.
So
And how are we going to ensure that the inspections are actually occurring?
I attend to.
Thank you, because
to attend those.
I'm not going to say anything further than that. I don't want to. But I really feel that.
What are you going to say, E58?
No. It's,
Okay.
it's,
I was.
You were?
yeah, well, but
You're getting a new bridge, Jeff.
I think what you're referring to is some troubles that we've had on inspection services with that firm.
Yes.
On a different project.
Right, on a different project, not on
bridge
us.
related.
Significantly different work.
Not the same inspector.
Right,
Yes.
I'm just, I definitely have concerns, so.
Yeah, I am familiar with concerns that you have, and that is significantly different work. This is the bridge inspections that are submitted to KDOT for the annual ratings, as well as they do provide us with multitude of information to include replacement costs, repair recommendations, costs of those, and many other things. But I can assure you that they are done, and that we do receive it, and I do intend to attend this, as I have not been here or gotten the opportunity to in the past.
And the engineers from Olson were on this committee, and they really thoroughly, I forget
Yes.
the fellow's name, thoroughly went through each.
Mr. Schneider.
Schneider. It was excellent. He evaluated, he even had a matrix for how to evaluate it, and it was.
That's the nice thing about having a firm like Olson. They brought in their bridge designer to look at this, whereas obviously we don't have a bridge designer on staff and wouldn't. And he reviewed the proposals and did a grading sheet for everybody and went through it, answered questions. And then when we had the follow-up question about, did you take into consideration all these things because your price seems very reasonable, he did that follow-up question for us so that they could speak geek to each other, and it worked out very well for us.
No,
Exactly.
I'm good. Like I said, I respect the recommendation. I just want to express that I want to make certain that there is accountability, because there were, on another job with the same firm, twice there were issues, and so with inspections, and I want to make sure that we know that it's made very clear that that's not acceptable.
Right. Okay. All right. Entertain a motion.
I guess consider a motion to accept the selection committee recommendation for 2020 bridge inspection and asset management services and award finish in the amount of $85,900.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on the item? Voting.
Aye.
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 Thank you, Commissioners. Lastly on the agenda, I have a change order resulting in a actual deduction, so money returned.
Wait, say that again?
I know.
Did you say credit? That's incredible.
Don't expect these from me regularly. Unfortunately,
I
would love that, but yeah.
I've never seen one of these before.
Wow.
You'll have to walk us through this.
So there was conversations that were had prior to my presence here that resulted in a lack of testing done during construction. And due to that, we have requested both a change order of money returned for testing not done per the contract, as well as an extension of the maintenance bond for an additional year on the County Route 1 hot mix in place asphalt.
Lauren, maybe this is a question for the senior county counselor. Did we end up paying that $13,000 for that damage that someone done to the road?
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, I, with the assistance of your staff, am in discussion with the insurer of the party that was responsible for that damage, and we are moving towards offered compensation that would fully compensate the county. We're not quite there yet, and I will be responding to their latest offer today.
So we did pay the $13,000.
We paid for the repair.
It was not the entirety of the $13,000. That was the original estimate. There was a reduced change order. Once it was all said and done, it was not to exceed $13,000, and thankfully it did not.
But you're confident we'll receive most, if not all, of what expenses we incurred?
The insurance company has reluctantly gotten very close to the goal line. Let's work towards getting there.
Okay.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion for this credit and any others you can find.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion to approve the change order with the refund and the extension of the bond, maintenance bond on this project? No further discussion? Voting?
Aye.
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 Thank you, Commissioners. Commissioner, I'll have you sign these.
All right.
Later. Thank you.
Thank you, Lauren.
Later.
Thanks, Lauren.
Lauren, thanks, and make sure if you need some help down there or whatever you need down there to let Mr. Lawfrey know, because we want to keep Public Works moving right along.
And happy.
We are.
All right. Well, thank you. All right.
Oh, I was going to ask her, Mark, do you know where we're at on inspections and maintenance for smaller bridges, culverts, and fords? You know how we were talking about?
Yeah.
An in-house culvert inspection?
Right.
In-house.
We've established some preliminary guidelines, and I think when we gave you the last update, we talked about Johnson County actually has a similar set of standards that Olson actually did their inspections for them based on those standards. They're developing those standards for us so that we could have our staff do it.
Okay.
I think it's one of those things that's probably 95% done. It's just it wasn't real high on the list of tasks. We met with Olson. They had the documents. There were a few small tweaks. Like I said, I would guess it's probably the only thing waiting is for us to review it and bring it for you for consideration. So, but we would do it in-house. We wouldn't hire it out.
Cool.
All ready for the Port Authority agreement, the amended. You presenting that, Mr. Van Perry?
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, I've presented to you an RBA that I believe outlines the proposed changes to the existing Port Authority agreement. It's been in effect since 1969 between the County of Leavenworth and the City of Leavenworth. I'd be happy to answer any questions. I would state this has gone through very lengthy review, both by prior commissions, prior city commissions, current city and county commissions, and staff. That does not, however, presuppose that it has addressed all issues which you may have, so I'd be happy to answer any questions.
What's the next step after we adopt this? Does this go to the cities next, like Tonganoxie, or what's the?
The agreement would actually be sent to the City of Leavenworth, who is the party to the agreement. The agreement does provide for the cities of Tonganoxie, Basser, Lansing. Okay, those three. We did not include 2 other incorporated municipalities in the county. To appoint a representative to serve on the board of directors. I believe the intent of the board was to be more inclusive of the overall economic interests of the county, and it's hoped that this would achieve that. The agreement also provides that if the board of directors wished to add an ex officio member or members, they could do so to obtain additional consulting on that topic. The primary points are listed in points 1 through 3 on the RBA, and again, I would be more than happy to answer any questions you would have.
City of Leavenworth agreeable to this?
This is based upon an agreement that has been arrived at with consultation with the City of Leavenworth.
And there has been...
It has not been approved, however, by the City of Leavenworth. It would need to be submitted to them.
And there has been, since 1969, any changes?
Numerous changes, and that's why paragraph 2 is there. Currently, the Board of County Commissioners is and has been the sole provider of funding for the Port Authority. The parties agree that that would continue. The county is designated as the primary funder, and the funding would go through your annual budget process, and it is hoped, as discussed in the RBA, that this would lead to the funding for specific projects that would need to be identified and justified to you.
But what I'm saying is, since 1969, it's pretty much been the old agreement.
The agreement remains unchanged from 1969.
That's what I thought.
And the times they are changing.
And that would be the last time the Chiefs won the Super Bowl?
Yeah, there you go.
The times they are changing. Yes.
So this is long overdue.
Yes.
The county's grown.
I believe it's in the best interest. Both this board and the City Commission believe it's in the best interest in providing services to the citizens through a Port Authority that this agreement be arrived at.
And the other cities that you'd mentioned that were going to be added that are supportive of this?
I believe so, Commissioner. And of course, if they did not wish to appoint a representative, we can't make them.
We can appoint one for them?
No, we can't.
Oh, okay. Okay, any questions? Any more discussion on it? I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve an amended Leavenworth County Port Authority Agreement and transmission of the same to the City of Leavenworth for consideration for approval.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Voting?
Aye.
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 Aye. Thanks for all your hard work on this. This has been going on for a while.
Commissioners, I will ask that as part of your resolution, it be understood that the chairperson and the county clerk will execute the agreement, and I will forward it on to the City of Leavenworth.
Thank you, David.
Thank you, David. And we're still not. We got one more with Mr. Van Harry's.
And it should go quickly.
Okay.
Commissioners, the county was approached by the Office of Judicial Administration of the state of Kansas with a proposed agreement whereby in the event of an unforeseen matter, specifically in an emergency situation that would disable the facilities the Judicial Administration Office occupies in Topeka, that they could, on a temporary basis, relocate to Leavenworth County. The proposed resolution makes that statement. The proposed resolution references an Exhibit A, which, as I point out in the RBA, I would ask that the board consider to be kept not an open record due to this nature of the agreement and the fact that there are aspects of it that deal with courthouse security. The Exhibit A has been reached in discussion with the county sheriff, Sheriff Andy Dedeke, the chief judge of the First Judicial District, the court administrator, and staff of OJA. It's been reviewed by Mr. Lawfrey and myself. I hate to use this phrase, but if you could trust us that the exhibit has minimal impact, almost no impact on the existing operations of the courts in the Justice Center, minimal impact on, and IT has been involved in this too, and I want to thank them for their work. Minimal impact on IT. They basically State would bring in their own equipment, we would hook it up, they would operate off our server, it would be a secured server system. When they obtained more permanent facilities, they would leave. But I believe this is in the best interest of not only the citizens of Leavenworth County, but the citizens of the state of Kansas. The purpose of this would be to allow the state courts, the Kansas state court systems to continue in operation.
I have no problem with it whatsoever.
I'm just curious how they derived at Leavenworth for their force majeure selection.
Geographic proximity, Commissioner. A similar agreement's been entered into with Lyon County. It's really a matter of they would like to have options in the event whatever event occurred that would disable their facilities in Topeka might have also disabled others.
Right.
And they may be looking at other options. I am aware, though, that Lyon County has entered into a similar agreement.
Okay.
Hey, David, does this mean that the database is backed up, like all the records are duplicated someplace that they could get access to?
Off-site.
Via the internet, or does Lyon County have a backup?
I'm not aware of how Lyon County backs up its own system. I believe the Office of Judicial Administration would be responsible for their own data backup. We would simply serve as the physical location, and we would facilitate any of their needs. I believe they would be responsible for that, Commissioner.
And once they got up and running, say something happened at Lyon County, they had to come here to operate here, we can give them all the hardware, but where do they get their data?
They bring their own hardware.
They bring their own.
Okay.
They have their own data. It's not on our system.
Up.
They keep off-site backups
Yeah,
that
we
they
should
would be
be running
responsible.
in redundancy with, like, duplication.
They would be as standalone as possible, obviously. They have
Commissioner, the
security
idea was
issues.
that they would not integrate into your information technology systems. We would simply facilitate through whatever connection is needed to use of their own database.
And the reason I'm asking is because GIS has 6 MOUs with 6 other places, and we're able to, if there was an emergency, go set up shop at one of those places, and we'd be up and running, able to print out maps. Say it was a tornado or something that took out Leavenworth County Courthouse, we could go set up shop at Mid-America Regional Council as one of them. But without data, it doesn't do any good to have printers and computers.
Right.
But the state has their own backup system.
And that's what I'm asking,
Yeah.
because they have a copy of all our data. We actually sent them, and the reason I'm asking is because it's updated. That's a pretty big job to give those 6 places updated data on a regular schedule. So I'm just curious that we're saying we could go set up there. But
OJA has
That's
that.
on them.
That's
And
their responsibility.
that would be their. That's also part of their safety, and they're not.
A certain set
And they're not going to discuss with us how they're securing their documents or where they are doing it.
There you go. And
I just didn't see that.
And,
I thought it was at the data.
and it's not an open record.
Yeah, I think that doesn't have a problem. I don't have a problem.
No,
with it
like I
whatsoever.
said,
I think
this
this
is
kind of a.
this is security.
This is
and,
easy.
That's all we need to say about that.
Yep.
Commissioners, an appropriate motion would be to adopt the resolution and authorize the chairperson to execute Exhibit A.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Voting?
Aye.
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 Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Yeah, okay. So we got a work session at 1 o'clock. We got any more business for us this time? We took care of the NACO. Local government days is next week. Was anyone going to go? I mean, it's on Wednesday, but there's a session at 3 o'clock, I think. Where I go every year.
Is that a Topeka? Oh, I'm going to be in Topeka for a different meeting that day.
Okay.
So did you want to stop in there for that, or?
I don't know.
No, I'm just.
Probably not.
Probably not.
All right. Well, I'll go then.
I mean, I can go.
To the 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
I think, I don't have it in front of me, but I know it's next Wednesday, the 22nd. Like I said, it's all day, but our meeting's that day. All right, I'll attend that.
Okay, I can probably do that. I'll let you know.
All right.
we have.
Oh, Linwood Friday. Are you going to go to Linwood Friday night to the fundraiser? Basehor Linwood School, I think, has a fundraiser.
I don't have it on my schedule.
I think it's this Friday night. Is that the 18th,
It might
17th?
be canceled if the weather's bad.
Okay, am I right? Am I accurate on that?
Correct, 17th, you should come.
17th. I'll be there.
That'd be fine.
It's always a sold out crowd.
Is that,
You got
is
to
that
stand.
the chili dinner?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But
Okay.
just so
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, there's a plan B, and that will be the next Friday if the weather turns the way it might.
Okay,
So-
all right.
Chili supper.
Yeah, I
You said
probably
chili
will be
supper.
there.
Yeah.
When you
Now
say
you
chili
get-
Once there's
supper,
chili, he's in.
Oh, chili supper.
All right, but it's unbelievable the turnout that goes to that. It's a huge crowd.
Can we still have the Garrison's reception on Thursday?
Thursday.
Are you still going?
I wasn't going.
Oh, it's you.
Is that, what day is that?
Thursday at
Thursday.
4? I'm still,
Oh, yeah, I'm planning.
Make sure you get your pass.
I'm renewing,
Way in
I got
advance.
my pass in
All right.
there, but I'm going to be renewing my real estate license till 3, and then I'll be coming from Topeka to get there by 2.
okay. And then,
meeting at 6.
Else?
Saturday, I'm going to go to League of Women Voters. I was asked to attend that.
Okay.
And then also, I was sent an invitation for the Martin Luther King Day celebration that evening.
We need to remind everybody the courthouse will be closed on Monday in honor of Dr. Martin Luther King Day.
Do we need to put that on our agenda? I'm planning
Just
on
2
going
of
to.
you are going.
Okay, unless more than 2.
I don't know. I just know that I was sent an invite to attend, and I plan to do so. And then also on the Saturday, are you planning on League of Women Voters on Saturday at 10? Okay. And the League of Women Voters on Saturday morning at 10.
Okay. All right. So Linwood Friday night, government days, and the annual LCDC meeting on
Friday.
Friday.
Friday. Are you
Yeah,
going to
I'm
attend? Okay.
I was
You're going to
planning
attend?
to attend, yeah.
Okay. That's this Friday,
Right.
correct?
Yeah,
Of
next week.
next
It's
week.
next
The
Friday. It's the
24th?
20
Yeah.
It's the next. It's the following Friday.
Okay, LCDC's next week, okay.
Well, I was still.
All right, so we got
RSVP
2 that'll
to
cover
go.
that.
Or
All right.
candlelight
If
vigil coming
something changes.
Kansas
Yeah.
Rock.
Yeah,
There
there's
is.
meetings.
But I don't remember
next
specifically.
Hey, you got anything else going on, Mr. Stevens?
No, but I'd just like to compliment Commissioner Cause last night for the presentation on the mental health.
Thank you.
At
I think it went
Tonganoxie,
well.
they attended, and Keith from the guidance center came.
And the clerk.
County clerk?
And the county clerk, and who else was there? Anyway, it was a very good presentation, and I think a lot of people's eyes were opened as far as not realizing the need.
Anything to report on, Commissioner Shumke?
I was just going to recognize Mr. Major. He got appointed this week on the City Council of Lansing, and I will be attending their meeting tomorrow.
Okay. Good.
Okay. Okay, government LCDC. Oh, I attended Basehor City Council last Wednesday, and I'll be going to Basehor Chamber of Commerce meeting on tomorrow, Thursday. at noon. And I think that's about all we got till next week rolls around. Just want to give a shout out to the Public Works of what they did over the weekend on the storm we had. And
They did an outstanding.
they did an outstanding job, and we did have one little incident. People don't realize how dangerous that job is, and I think our crews have an excellent safety record when it comes to snow removal and that, because it's not an easy job.
Don't follow behind those trucks.
I know, and weekends are worse.
I don't know if
think.
I used to think
if
it
the
was really
sheriff
awesome to try to get up
puts
close
out any
behind one of them,
comments
because then
relative to
you can be
storms,
safe, but it's like, no.
if you've never looked,
That's smart.
the Douglas County, or it might not be Douglas County, it's probably just the Lawrence Police Department. They're what they say relative to storms.
It's
I mean,
great.
it's such a joking matter, but it's accurate. It's
Yeah.
tremendously funny.
They
I
have
would highly
memes
recommend that
and
we maybe
tweets that they send out that are just
talk to
absolutely
the sheriff
hilarious.
about that. Maybe if there was a little humor, people would read it. I don't know.
Also, because we do have a large number of gravel roads, 420 some miles. Those are still muddy, so people need to drive appropriately on slick, muddy
Yeah, be
surfaces
careful.
as well.
Well, hopefully it's not going to be as bad as it was last winter.
Yeah.
Be careful, and we're supposed to get a little bit of bad weather again this week,
Yeah.
so let's be careful. Drive safe.
I had lunch with the new mayor of Tonganoxie,
Oh, you did?
and we had a conversation about County Road 1, and,
You invite him to our meeting?
well, he's a standing invitation to our meeting, but,
Okay.
you know, we want to work with Tonganoxie for sure, this Port Authority agreement's going to be a good thing.
I think all cities should be represented.
Yeah. So, and all the city council members.
Mm-hmm.
We got one in the back.
No, Rocky's back there.
Yeah,
I didn't
Rocky's
see him.
back there.
I attended the Leavenworth City Council meeting last night, and last week the Chamber Government Affairs
Government
Chamber
Affairs.
meeting. Got to push my 152 bridge agenda a little further.
And like I said, you notice that's on the 2050 mark list there. So it's gaining some attention.
Is there a candlelight vigil?
Oh, next Friday, the 23rd.
Oh, the 23rd, okay.
That's right.
So it's a
Next
couple
Friday
weeks.
night. There's
Okay.
candlelight vigil out here.
Kansas
Courthouse.
July. I was thinking it was next week.
We'll talk about, we'll
This week.
announce
Okay.
that next week. I don't think.
I was just two quick things I did forget. So one was right before, I guess right after Christmas, before New Year, right before I went on holiday, was I had a great meeting with the mayor of Baser, and they shared their vision and plan, which is quite extensive, very exciting. So anxious to have them in here and share more about their vision and some of the obstacles maybe associated with that vision. And then the other one was, since making the motion on 152, that's been a few meetings ago, we are now in a position where we can at least work. I think we're going to work with Olson to create kind of the scope, and then we could officially go out to bid so that we could put a initial estimate study.
That's been created. It'll be on next week's agenda, actually, for you to approve the RBA to go out.
Outstanding.
So,
Okay.
yeah, it was
Sorry, I
created.
missed
It just didn't have a chance to get it for today. We didn't have enough time to get it on today's agenda, but it'll be on next week's agenda.
Cool.
There you go. Good reminder, Mr.
One more thing I thought I'd just mention this for the camera is just to remind folks that Leavenworth County, we did as a commission vote to participate in the local road safety plan conducted by the state, and I talked to the county administrator. He said that's likely in progress even right now, and that's on our local road network, and they'll come back and give us a report on safety issues on kind of, what do you call those?
The high-risk rural roads.
Right. Yeah. And so we are being proactive on that issue.
Hoping to get a project. But like I said,
I get a lot of calls on certain road locations, and we are working on it.
Right. Yep. And all our accident data and all that is, we keep that. Public Works has that.
Yeah, we actually started a project several years ago where we kept track of all the sheriff's accident reports for Public Works to work on dangerous intersections and places of high incident. So.
Okay. If anybody has anything else, and we'll have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All right.